Okay, so good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you in our meeting room in Zoom and those who will be watching on YouTube, as well as those watching the live stream on Facebook, welcome again. We were supposed to have these two important discussions last week and the week before that, but because we were caught up with other events and other meetings and stuff, we were not able to have our dialogue or our Q&A sessions. So we moved it to tonight. So we're kind of squeezing everything together. But the main objective is for us to have this discussion and to enlighten all of us, educate all of us about the foreign service, the public service, our foreign policy in general. So for this particular Q&A session, we'll have a pictorial presentation by Mr. Ako, and it's based on his book about his life in China, his life as a diplomat, and his experiences in China, the events that he attended, the things that he saw. All these are all captured in different, really nice pictures. So we'll give this time to him to just go through and then pick out the pictures that he wants to share with us and the stories that he wants to tell us. So, Mr. Ako, please tell us your story and show us your pictures.
All
Thank
right, Mr. Aguirre, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to relive some of the good and bad memories of my time in China between 2003 and 7. I'll share the screen on that. I'm becoming an expert in this. Okay, so this is about the diplomatic representation in China during my time as the First Secretary at the Embassy of Papua New Guinea in Beijing from 2003 July to December 2007. So I've broken up the separated the pictures into categories. So we'll go category by category. This one would be the PNG ambassadors I served under between 2003 and 7. From 2003 to 2007, July was Ambassador Max Wright. You can see him on the right of the screen. And that is with when he went to make his farewell call on the Chinese foreign minister. So after his farewell call, they took a photograph outside the Chinese foreign ministry, Waijiaobu. And then he departed in July, I think, and Ambassador Momis arrived around the time with his wife Elizabeth, and this picture is about, you can see me welcoming him and Madam Elizabeth, and the Chinese protocol officer is standing here to welcome them. And then you have the bilateral engagements on post. So what we have here in the first picture is the arrival of Secretary Pepsen in the middle. Serabi was foreign minister and he came on another engagement, but during that time, the PNG China senior official meetings restarted again. This the senior PNG senior official forum was instituted by Secretary Gabriel Dusawa when he was secretary. He made sure he wanted to his intentions were to have bilateral relations, strengthen bilateral relations at the official level. So he instituted this senior official engagement between PNG and China and other countries also. So this was the reinstitution of that process after it had been gone quiet for a couple of years. So the picture in the middle is a briefing with Serabi. This always happens during every ministerial or every senior official engagement. So even in APEC, we did that too. as soon as the senior official or the minister arrive, there's always a briefing session. And everybody must come up with, everyone who met us has to sit there and inform the minister of what is expected of him tomorrow based on protocols, logistics, the policy agenda, and his bilateral meetings and the briefs that have been prepared for the bilateral meetings. So this was that. Foreign Minister Namali and Foreign Secretary Pepsen arrived in Shanghai. Behind Foreign Secretary Pepsen, you will see Mr. Simon Namis when he was director for one of the branches. Recently, Mr. Namis was appointed as our ambassador in Jakarta. So he is now Ambassador Namis, and he is based in Jakarta. Now, bilateral engagements at the political level. So you can see Serabi came with Serbia and Minister Link Stuckey and others. Serbia is here. This was at the embassy. This is at the embassy. So the top photograph and the photograph on the left at the embassy, where Ambassador Rai organized food and called in all the PNG community and students who couldn't make it to come and meet the statesman and also meet the minister and have some food and just story. Now, the picture on the far right is arrival of the late Police Matane Governor General. He in Beijing. He was there to commemorate and celebrate the 30th PNG-China bilateral relations anniversary. And the photo in the middle is him giving a speech at one of the gatherings. And you as First Secretary on post, you have to be there to meet them because together with the ambassador. And there's only two of you, so when ministerial delegations come, you got no choice. You just have to tag along unless you sick na sleep lousy. If not, you tag along. And you go with all the cars. Or if you have a lot of cars, well, if you have 2 or 3 cars at the embassy, you do that, which we had. We were well resourced by headquarters, so we had. We had changed 1 year upon arrival in 2003. By 2005, we changed the all ambassador's official car, which had been there for the last 10 or 15 years. We changed it, got in a new one, got funding from headquarters, got a new one. We renovated the embassy. The embassy, it's funny because Ambassador Rai had served as state secretary in Beijing 15 years or 20 years earlier. And when he arrived, the first thing he told me was, "Yeah, First Secretary, you see this wallpaper and all these furniture. I was the one who bought them 15 years ago, and here they are. So I think the onus is on me to change them." So we changed those, and we renovated the embassy with new office spaces and all that stuff. So that's the engagement at the political level. Now, at the multilateral setting, it's also important. So you will see the top photograph with me. Yes, I was very, very healthy then. With me, and these are the Pacific Island ambassadors and officials based in China. The locals, and we had local staff who accompanied us on this tour. And then the photograph at the bottom is the WTO conference in Hong Kong. You can see me there. You have 2 departmental heads in this photograph. You have Secretary Wohengu, and you have now current Secretary Manua, Jacinta Warakai Manua of Trade and Investment. She's on the far right. And the Chinese gentleman here is our honorary consul in Hong Kong by the name of Jim Oh. The top photo is Ambassador Lupari coming to attend the WTO. He was then our ambassador in Brussels. And the photo below him is then Foreign Trade Minister Tien Sten and Dr. sorry, I can't remember his name. Doctor. He passed on. I think a couple of years ago. He was serving as Sejong Kaputin's official, one of his senior officials in Brussels. Now, trade and investment. So these photographs are about trade expos and trade investment workshops. So this first photograph on the left is the officials that came to attend the trade expo we had organized on the margins of Prime Minister Somara's visit in 2003. So these were fisheries and forestry people who came to attend that. And on the far right, you see Mr. Clarence Hood. This was at the same expo which the officials attended. So Mr. Hood was an official at IPA. By then, he was working under Ivan Pomaliu, who was managing director of IPA then. Now, the photo in the middle is me providing PNG's, just promoting PNG as a tourist and investment destination at the one of the investment Pacific Island Forum organized investment expos. Now, this photo below will be of interest to you all because this is Madam Luo Shu, president of the Ramon Eco Management MCC Limited. So this was in a reception held during the 30th Independence Anniversary. So, like I mentioned earlier on during one of my presentations, I did attend some of their meetings and engagement with PNG officials who came up to get the Ramon Eco mine up and running. Now, defense cooperation. This is a first. This is Major William Butley, who is now who was then being promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. The story behind him is that he came to attend a course in Nanjing, the staff development course, I think. And then while he was in Nanjing, we were informed by defense headquarters that to inform him that he had been promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, and then that upon his return back to PNG after the year's course, he would go through a ceremony of getting his crown and pip pinned on his shoulder. So Ambassador Rai said, look, defense cooperation is important, and one way of promoting bilateral relations is to maybe have the possibility of looking at Mr. Butley doing his promotion ceremony here in China. So we contacted Commander Ilau, Commodore Ilau. When Commodore Ilau agreed, we got in touch with the PLA and the People's Liberation Army, and they said, look, it's all it's all good. Let's do it. So we had to we got the pips delivered to us, couriered to us from Murray Barracks, and Ambassador Rai and I went down to Nanjing to formally promote Mr. Butley to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. He retired a couple of years after that, and he now lives in his village in the New Island province. But he goes down in the military history as the first PNGDF officer to be promoted in China. So that was a first for us also. So it was a proud moment for everyone. Now, this is government-to-government engagement. So you see Honorable Luta Wenge during a dinner hosted by Ambassador Rai for him and others. They were there on an official invitation by the government of China. So they all came up to the embassy, and we made sure everybody came to the embassy, which is the reason why we renovated it, organized a new conference room, a huge conference room that could seat about 30 people, and separate offices. We had spare offices for students and for officials who wanted to just to come and touch base. We had offices for them. So that was something which Ambassador Rai instituted. And we in 2005, I had a visit. The visa officer came and said, "Mr. Ako, there's a gentleman there who wants a visa who wants his visa immediately to go to Tabubil." Oh, what is he going to do in Tabubil? He's going up to set up. He's going up to repair the dishes, satellite dishes. So an idea got me. So I got the visa officer to bring him into the conference room. So I went and sat down and asked him, "Hey, what do you do with satellite dishes?" And he said, "Well, I go and repair them." And so I told him, "Look, can you put a satellite dish so we can get MTV?" And he said, "Yeah, I can do that." So, but after I returned, so he went down for 2 months. So as soon as he left, after we issued him the visa, he left. I went and told Ambassador Rai, "Boss, there's a great possibility that we can watch MTV here." Now, make the story go on. The Chinese gentleman had told me that you cannot get a decoder here. You have to go all the way down to Mosby to get a decoder. So that's what I did. Ambassador Rice telling me go down, come back to the place. I came in on a Monday, got the decoder on Tuesday, Wednesday, I returned back to the office, back to China. So me plus stop, a couple of weeks later, the gentleman fronted up, true to his word, he fronted up. I said, "Look, I got a decoder here." So I'm set him up, and by 2 p.m. we were watching Kids Corner. And we obviously became the envy of all the missions, all our missions around the world, because we were the only ones who were watching Parliament session in real time. Of course, then all time also Martin find out also embassy got big plus screen or watching TV news. They'll come every Friday to watch news and then stay on to watch the Friday night football. And also during that time too, in preparation for the 30th bilateral celebrations and also the 30th independence anniversary, we wanted to do something big. So in addition to the expos and something, I was sent down to Mosby to buy 50 cartons of I don't know, about 30. I think 30 is 100. Yeah. So 30 cartons of white can, 30 cartons of green can, 30 cartons of ice. So I came down again on a Monday. I had organized with Ambassador Namis and them to organize SP to have those things for us. So when I came down, organized the payments, put them up on the container, and I returned back with the beer. So, so after the occasion, after the independence occasion and the dinners, we still had a few cartons left. So even the military personnel who were based in Beijing would front up at the office every Friday. We have a bong, have a few beers, watching Menarem, they'll go back home. So it worked out well for everyone. Now on the picture on the far right is the late Chief Justice Mari Kapi, who visited with his wife. Ambassador also organized a dinner for both of them and hosted at the embassy. So that's Ambassador Rai and Madam Roslyn on the right. You had the late Chief Justice and the wife, Emily, our third secretary, and the husband, me and Mrs. Sako. In the middle is the East New Britain team led by former governor on a visit to Hainan Island. You see, what happened was that the East New Britain provincial government were looking at sister city relations with a Chinese province. So they secured that, and I think right up to now, the Eastern Highlands also has a sister city relations with Fujian province, I think, plus a couple of others. And I've been encouraging during our when I attend business council meetings, and if there are parliamentarians available during those engagements, I tell them to listen, say there are still ways to improve your bilateral relations with China, not with the main government, but you can, as governor, you can have sister city relations with those provinces, and then you can talk about education, health, agriculture, all those things under your responsibility as governors. So those opportunities are there. You know, it's not only at the highest government level, but it can be done at the subnational levels as well, even at district. Once you have it, and not only provinces, you can have sister city relations that can work towards promoting people-to-people connectivity. Now, talking about people-to-people connectivity, you can see this was one of Toya Whistle's first competitions at the junior championships, a World Junior Championship in Beijing in 2006. So these are all the competitors who came, and that's the balcony of our embassy on the 11th floor, I think. And if you see straight past them, that building across the street is the Taiwan diplomatic compound, and that's our building. That's where I used to live, on the 11th floor. And then there are about 30 of those buildings in that compound. So that's where the Chinese government organized diplomatic compounds around Beijing. That's one of them, where all their diplomats live. All the foreign diplomats live there. So that's the balcony na all girls put him hand blow lemia. That's where we put the dish, antenna dish. There's a balcony, and you walk into the conference room. The huge 70, 80-inch TV is there, and we watch MTV News and everything. So we never felt homesick. We had real-time news. Ambassador Rai used to boast and say, we were the ones who were giving the parliamentary reports to headquarters, and not the guys who were sent from Waigani to the parliament house to get the reports. Okay, so this is Madam Rai and Miss Sako and the kids. The lady in blue there is the late Miss Lisa Gabina, who replaced Miss Lopili, the state secretary. She passed away a couple of years ago here. Okay, and this is our maid, Liu Feng, and Mrs. Sako hosting the PNG flag up when Toya, Whistle, and them were running. This other picture up there of me being interviewed is, you see, every week you receive invitations from Chinese municipalities, provincial governments, from governors inviting embassies to go and visit their provinces, because you see, the Chinese industries were all over the provinces around the country, and they invite all the embassies to go and showcase what they have, so that they can get these countries to invest in there. So this is me getting interviewed with one of the car plants. Now, initiating connectivity, the Beijing brothers RFUC. In 2006, December, a couple of the Pacific Island students visited me and asked me, Mr. Ako, there are too many boys now, and the university team, the ADVACs, there's only certain number can play, and they have about 3 teams. So why don't you think about us forming a Pacific Island club? I said, okay. And we were lucky because around the same time too, Mr. Iskeli Taureka had flown in as the Chevron boss of China. So we visited him. He visited the embassy during Christmas function. I went and met him. Said, Ambassador is inviting him to come for drinks. So there and there, he agreed for Chevron to sponsor. If you ask him, he'll tell you that no, I got cornered by Pacific Island students, but he did the right thing. So the Beijing brothers was born in 2007, 6 December, and in 2007 was the maiden season. And what we had, you see those Chinese players there, those are all former Chinese internationals. China's rugby internationals are usually groomed out of Nong Das Way. Nong Das Way is the agriculture university, and that's where all the rugby is taught. So also Paini Motrapa size Mangi, you'll find them there. So that's where they get in all the coaches to train. That's where the national team comes from. But after they leave Nongda, and when they join the workforce, and they don't have anywhere to play. But because of their student connection, when the Beijing Brothers was formed, they came immediately over and they joined. And we had a good seasons. You can see the photograph on the far right is Mr. After the first game, which we lost very badly to the Beijing Devils, the top club in China. And after that, we all sitting down there, and Mr. Taureka is talking to us, and it's funny because this gentleman, European, standing behind him, were caught by surprise when he called everyone to order, and all of us sat down immediately and start looking up at him, and they could see that this was the respect we were giving their boss. And when one of them approached me later to find out, said, "No, no, no, that's what we normally do at home. When someone talks to us, everyone sits down and listens to him, and anybody who talks has to stand up and talk." So they saw some cultural differences or cultural ironies there. I think after we all left the Beijing Devils, which is made up of all the European workers, and after Mr. Isikeli Taureka left, they secured Chevron as their sponsor. And well, Sumatin too, yeah, they went there to study, and they just managed it how they saw it was good. So I don't know. I'm not sure whether the brothers are still there. I think COVID spoiled, disrupt a lot of things that were set up there. Now this is the final picture I have. That's me, and that's the Chinese national rugby jersey. One of my mates gave it to me, and I visited. I visited China. I had a when I arrived there. Within the same month, I bought a Chinese map, which was the size of the whole wall, and put it up on the wall. And I bought this number stickers. And I said, I'm going to try my best to visit more than 100 cities before I leave. But I could only manage 36, I think. And it was not because of cost. I ran out of time. You see, you could get on the train from Beijing and go on the 12, 13-hour trip down to Hong Kong for roughly 300 kina. And then get on. Sometimes, one time, I went down and got on the next train and came back up again, just for the fun of it. And then I also used it to go and visit Henan province, where the Shaolin Temple is. And I made sure I went around China. If I couldn't make it at weekend, I got Misako and the girls to go and visit those famous places, so we could get them into the picture book. So these I think these are the main pointers I could put up on. The next time I have a chance of getting someone across there, I will give some extra copies of the picture book, which you can have a look at, and look at Ting joining foreign service. There are also work-related challenges you will have out on post. If you have a good working relationship with your colleagues there, you'll have a good time there. For us, ours was thoroughly enjoyable. Ambassador Rai, Madam Rai, she was the best. She'll call in weekly, monthly kai kai. We had monthly kai kais at his house for our families. But Madam Rai would just cook now and then and come down at lunchtime and say, "Hey, Mikarim lunch come." Or in the evening, she'll call Lisa and Emily. "Hey, no can go cook because they were single ladies. Come up na kay house or planning kay stuff." So she would do that, and she knew how to take care of. She knew how to make you feel at home. You had students and officers and army officers and public servants coming back and forth, and we would just make it our business to bring them in. So I made it my business to tell everyone that, listen, when you arrive in China, please let us know that you are in the country. We don't want you to call us time you're in trouble. And by yokim hard lumipla. Right? And one of the tragic stories which we always talk about here at home was about out of respect for her, I'm not putting photograph of them, but when you see the picture book, was about a Morobe lady by the name of Masi. But when we arrived in 2003, she had been going back and forth on dialysis. I think she had been working for a Chinese company. So she had been going back and forth on a dialysis until she passed on. She was not able to afford hospitals and what anymore, so poor Lisa Gabina was so generous enough to bring her into her home, and she passed in Lisa's home. And then she passed around 1 a.m. in the morning. And luckily, we had Ronnie Colty, Mangi Sipike. He was a missionary there. Ronnie had came to visit us, and some of his regular visits, he came to visit us, and him and the missus were with us. So time passed on at 1 a.m. and when Lisa called called us from home, she lived in the next building in the same compound. So we went across, and the lady and Trangumasi, she lived in the Daista. It is a good thing. Sorry, my apologies. She was just breathing. So we call ambulance. Ronnie to Lisa, Karim Goran Karaplo ambulance not gonna. He passed away. She passed away in Ronnie's arms. And being the missionary, Ronnie Betenland. But it was funny. Sorry, it was not funny. My apologies. It was very, very sad because who was gonna call the kids? So Lisa had to call the kids, but she was the one who was in contact with them. They'll call her, ask how their mom was in late. What's that late? So Trangu Lisa called him Pikinini, and then I think she was cremated, and the ashes were brought back home, I think. So that was one of the tragedy. The other tragedy was about the seaman who got knifed in Guangzhou. So we had to go back and forth to organize that. But then there were those were the sad occasions I can think about. The most the sad part is for the kids is living in China, departing. See, we had a live-in maid. We had a maid who lived in with us, and then every Friday she would go home. So the kids, especially my son was born there. Aaron Sydney was born in China, and Tupla one time, just live one time, married Chinese. Yeah. So when we were leaving, we just told her that listen, just tell I that we will be just visiting home and coming back. So that was one of the saddest part that we had to leave here. And when my two girls went back to school in China, for in the 5 or 6 years they were there, they could not locate her. So that's we still remember her. She's got photographs all over the house. We sit down, we still talk about her and all that. So those were sad occasions. Like I said, if you have a good relationship with your colleague, it would be nice. I've heard of colleagues whose relationship was very toxic in the office, and they would just call each other on phones in the same office. I never experienced that, and I think the onus is upon each and every one of us to make sure that when we're in such situations, or avoid situations. Avoid such situations. We are a very small community there, so to avoid such situations. These bilateral engagements were also important, and then when you had the political engagements, those were high level. So you was the first secretary, or if you were the only officer there, then the role of master of ceremony falls on you. So I was very, very surprised when Ambassador said, Mr. Ako, you by MC. So, walk blue. And then si Ambassador Rai was also the best person I remember as one of my major mentors. You know, some heads of missions would spend most of their time at the golf course, especially political appointees. Then, you also have political appointed officials, heads of missions, and heads of missions who came straight from the rank and file of the department. So Ambassador Rai came from the department, and then when Ambassador Momis arrived, he had been politically appointed. So way of operation blame different, but I learned a lot from him. That 6 months, I knew I had only had 6 months. But by July, my recall letter had arrived, so I was getting ready to leave. So when Ambassador Momis arrived, I had limited time. So knowing that he was the father of decentralization, I started visiting him every Friday afternoon. So most afternoons just to go in and tell stories and all that, and he'll talk about his life and all that stuff. I'll stop there. Are there any questions? You would like any questions at all? The bicycle culture, like I mentioned one time, was still rife. So summertime, I'll join the bicycle brigade and follow them all over the place, and then go loose and come back. But along the way, I'll try my broken Chinese on everyone, and then arrive home late in the night. And they have their well, let me say that there's no crime there. You know, you like pine him die, but you stealing or something. So you could just walk. But of course, people lock their cars and bicycles because over the course of my posting, I had to buy 3 bicycles 3 times, change them 3 times because all months still, regardless of locks. So I was suspecting some of the Sigis from the compound here, but anyway, bicycles too only cost 100 yuan here. So you could even own 5 bicycles at the same time. And the TVs, you know, you could have you could have 5 or 6 TVs because they were going at 100 yuan or 150 yuan. It's 75 kina or 50 kina. So one plug go buy new plug-in. That was how China was coming into was opening up and just going out into the world now. So I'll stop there and allow you all. I know all of you might be ready to ask me questions. So Mr. Aguirre, I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ako. The floor is now open for questions and
Yes.
comments for your
Dr. Henry
attendees.
Okole.
Yes, Dr. Henry Okole, he
Yes,
was our
sorry, yeah.
lecturer at UPNG. He taught us for comparative politics.
Okay, M now.
Unfortunately, returning from Brussels. Yeah. Questions, comments? Okay, Sylvia is asking, how does PNG promote cultural exchange with China, and what are some successful initiatives?
So cultural exchanges, there was no organized cultural exchange. So I am very happy that TPA this year signed the ADS with China, the approved destination status. I don't know how they're going to manage that, but Chinese tourism, the Chinese use the ADS to visit other countries. They signed those up so that because of the approved destination status, you have this travel agency in Papua New Guinea accredited to those ADS companies, and then you have travel agents in China. So they talk to each other, and through those channels, the tourists come na go. So how all by managing na implementing minosabe. But those were something which we started talking about in early 2000 with the previous tourism MD who was appointed High Commissioner to Kuala Lumpur. We started talking about that with him. So those would have been a good channel, but nevertheless, for cultural exchanges, we waited for if there were big expos, a Pacific Expos, or if there was a PNG Expo organized by IPA or what, then we tried to get sponsors for cultural groups to come. And the best one, the best example I can give is when we got during the 30th anniversary celebrations, bilateral relations celebrations, we talked to Chinese company, a couple of Chinese companies from Macau to bring up the CLA dancers. I think it was run by Dobi Kidu and Jinya Siaguru and them. So the CLA dancers went up and they danced at the ceremony, and then I think the company was trying to recoup some cost. So the company brought them to 3 other provinces in China to do that. So those were cultural exchanges. One of the biggest challenge was getting our provincial governments to understand the dynamics of cultural exchanges. And the avenue I thought they could utilize that would be through the sister city, sister province relations, because those were official parameters which they could work in. Because once we started looking at the bringing in cultural groups from one end to the other, it became commercial. And as government officials, we were not able to manage those. We couldn't manage those. So we encourage sister city relations and all that to as avenues for that to happen. They were the only ones. I think the CLA group were the only ones who came up during my time there.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Mr. Ako. Naomi, would you like to say something? I believe you have a comment for Mr. Ako.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yagura, and thank you, Mr. Ako. I just wanted to say that the presentation that you made, Mr. Ako, just now was very, very interesting. And we really do appreciate that you're sharing this with us. It not only motivates us to want to be part of the Foreign Affairs Department, but also to do the best in whatever organization or companies that we are recruited in. Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Ako, and thank you, Mr. Yagera, for also making this possible.
My pleasure. My
Yes,
pleasure.
Naomi, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for. Any more questions, comments? Mr. Ako, were you able to climb the Great Wall? Unfortunately, I did not walk the Great Wall, but it's on my bucket list. Hopefully, I do go back to China, return to China, and I will climb the Great Wall or walk the Great Wall. Were you able to?
Yes, yes, we will make sure in the next couple of years organize to go to China and climb it, just to climb the Great Wall. I did. I climbed it at the Badaling section. There were two sections of it. I think I went to the Badaling, but I never went all the way up because going up is another thing, but coming down is very, very for us with knee issues. So I think I walked up only 20 meters, got my photographs, and that's it. I said, been there. But I never did the climb up all the way to the very, very top. No, God. Just coming down, I would have, I don't know, I would have come down or crawled down. But it's a very interesting experience. Not to forget the all the haggling sellers, street sellers on the trying to sell you all the paraphernalia and stuff. But no, I didn't. Also, in terms of language, my Chinese was broken. My Chinese was broken and very streety Chinese, which I learned while conversing with others. But Ambassador Rai, being the good manager he was, allowed for spouses to go and attend night courses. So me, Sako, and them would, and Madam Roslyn could speak more fluent than us. And we did attend. I did attend night courses, but I still have the books here. I still have the lesson books with me here, keeping them for one good time. When I'm free, then I'll lend them again. But there we had to do 3 green color books, and then 3 yellow books, and then 3 brown books, and then I think red books were the last one. And the teacher was telling us, it was me, 1 Belgian diplomat, 1 German diplomat, and 1 Peruvian diplomat. We 4 plamanes. So when we went in the first day, we were so psyched up. The teacher was telling us, the Laoshe was telling us, gentlemen, by the time you come to the red book, you can read the newspapers. Well, guess what? We couldn't go past the first green book. Because now me 4 go school. Lo test day, me fly out go 1 expo. Which means that next Tuesday, we have to go and repeat whatever they did on Thursday. But when we went on Tuesday, 1 German by out again. So we kept on repeating the same old chapter until the whole year. Teacher gave up. We just forgot the class. So I took it upon myself to during summertime, and I would get on a bicycle, ride all the way past the Chinese Foreign Ministry is between where we were living and the Tiananmen Square. So I would drive past the Foreign Ministry, go all the way to Tiananmen Square, and then follow another angle, all the way, another route get lost along way. So I would take off around 9 a.m. and return home around 6 p.m. Suppose me no lose. And then when I by 2005 and 6, I started becoming familiar with the places and with the Lapuns. I would usually visit all the Lapun people who looked after stalls, and I would sit down with them. Winter time, I'll bring in some duty-free whiskey, give it to them. They'll give me their Motai and Baijiu. We'll sit down. I'll speak in my broken Chinese. They'll speak in their broken English. So I was learning. It was really exciting, and I did learn every Sunday because we couldn't attend churches. House lo tu blolem sumitok PG na. All got lo tu service, but all pater all instructing more lo pitch lo certain chapter books tasol. Revelation no got I think Genesis 2 no got sampla books by preach them. They got all last place too sa staff lo congregation lo lulug na staff. So what we did we started we had a picture a Bible a picture Bible book. So we brought it and we started going from Genesis. And I remember very clearly, all of us remember, because we finished on Zacchaeus. Story of Zacchaeus going to DWU looking big money, and it was our last Sunday. The following week, we come back. So we covered a lot of grounds. And then after that, every Sunday devotion, we finish lunchtime now, we will choose a restaurant. We said, okay, let's go this way to choose a restaurant. Then we plug up a bicycle and then cycle. So I knew 5 kilometers radius of that area. So I was very surprised and disappointed when I went in 2014. Namitok mo mangi lo embassy lo come lo this restaurant. Oto nila no sabe. And that restaurant was only 5 minutes away, 5 minutes walk from the embassy. So it was interesting. The girls new language, and then when they went back, they were instructed to attend Chinese, complete their degrees in Chinese. So they still speak Chinese. Ami plogatan no at broken bus na now stop no kat mo.
Okay. We have about 10 minutes remaining. Anybody else with a question or comment for Mr. Ako? Okay, so I think up in the north it was a bit different for us in Chengchun. Every Sunday we went to church. There was a Korean church, the Onuri church, and everything was normal. But the Chinese citizens were not allowed to come to church with us, and we were not allowed to share the word of God with them. But it was only for us, the Pacific Islanders, Europeans, and the Africans. So a good number of the congregation was made up of Africans and us Papua New Guineans and other Pacific Islanders. But they had churches around the city, so we were able to jump on buses. It was well organized. We jumped on buses, went to church, and then came back. The bus picked us up and dropped us off, and we had a good time at church. It was good meeting other people from other parts of the world. Yeah. But China is a very fascinating country, very interesting.
You missed that, and I also had I brought my parents over for the full 3 months visa. I brought them over. They stayed full 3 months, and then returned home. And I was very happy that when I look back, I was very happy that I brought them over. So Karimul parents come looking machimen blue you na o tumas kat belisia. So all mangi mi pelukoti mol kam na all kamol semen. It was very emotional for me when I picked them up at the airport, because the first thing my dad told me, I'm talking, registry, if you had been very proud person, na to was a PPA work number, you wouldn't come here. 10 years is nothing. And when I look back, I said, yeah, man, big money I talk through. I know, yeah, man, forcing me into at least your leg is in there now. Now you work hard na go on top. So yeah, I brought them to Shanghai. My dad got lost on the TV tower. Right up to the time he died, he said, I never got lost. Me one mangi na ba me lose. So my elder daughter Momo had to go and page him in Motu and Chinese, and then we actually found him, and Hilton, and then when we went for a spin in Hong Kong, I'm looking more this red double decker bus, yeah. He was sitting in front with mom, and we were at the back, and he turned on and said, "Lawi, emol bus blow, Jackie Chan." I'm talking, yeah. Okay, me but go on top upstairs. So he was trying to go upstairs, and my mother gave him the look. Mama, Lucy, I'm going top, man. You guys won't be coming back here anytime. So he went up there and sat there, and then I had after he died, and a couple of years later, when I met some of the reverends, they were saying, "May, man, probably you come back and talk us go sinan lo bus with Jackie Chan kalablem." Talk, no. Actually, he went on the same buses which Mr. Chen sa working movie land. Bus with Jackie Chan kalablem. But this story come that changed the place, and but those were important times. So listen, if you ever get those opportunity to go and live overseas, make sure first thing, bring your parents over. Bring your parents over to honor them and to show that them achievement blue, yeah. You small come overseas and all stuff. Don't never forget that, because if you forget that, some of my colleagues have regrets. They came back all come back na time all parents will pass away. They told me, Lahu, you lucky man, why? You karim tupla lapun bligo na niya, man, one ka tinting kisimi and never did until it passed on. So always honor your parents. Name sa book Bible, honor your parents over that time. So you back him long term life lo yet.
All right, so we have about 5 minutes remaining. Any questions, comments?
Language was a barrier. In 2003, China was just opening up. And even also English, all na plo bekim lo English, all but bekim lo talkless. So time you throw me broken Chinese golol, all but sao sem you klo barbim language bros, all but talk English. But it was good to you learn as you go, and then my life was good. I enjoyed my life because all Mangi Fiji introduced me to rugby. In 2004, they said, "Come, let's go and play touch." So we started playing touch, and they said, "You play tackle number, yeah, but them union is aligning me." So I got to play with the Beijing Devils, and then later we formed the Beijing Brothers. So every weekend between summer was occupied. When some of my colleagues said it, when they went on point, it was very boring because they had nothing to do. And I told them, create it. Create your excitement. No, I went and created the rugby club and using that vehicle to make myself occupied. And not only that, all the students would come to our house every fortnight. Di ba come round? Sumatine. Come na, or mama cooking big pot rice na kakarook or something, or sa kay carry mo leftover go back. It was nice. We came and shared the information, and not only Papua New Guineans, Tongans, Samoans, FSM, they were all. I would tell Billy Tomon and Denny Peps and all that. Carry mo kam. We would come have a barbecue outside at the lawn, have beers. They'll tell us about their worries, and I could tell them advice, whatever I could give them, and all but go back. So we had good times there. Create your own opportunity. That's what I can advise you on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ako. We'll wrap up, but before we go, just one last question. We have roughly 3 minutes remaining. What do you think about the sister city arrangement? I see recently our governor, Medellin governor, also signed one between I think Guangzhou, one other small city, island city. But generally, what's your perspective on that? Because I see many times they sign these agreements and sister city arrangements, but then it doesn't amount to anything tangible. No, like programs, arrangements between, or no transfer of skills or labor mobility or anything of that sort. What is your take on?
A sister city is better to be signed by the Lord Mayors, not governor. I say that because governor is political. He'll be here and he might not be elected later. But for the Lord Mayors or of the cities, they can negotiate those, and it has to be on a win-win situation. It cannot be one-sided. So you got something low for him, maybe offer him laptop, then got something low for him, you mean, then that happens, and then the roadmap happens, and then the plan goes, and the bureaucrats come in and start doing them. One example, we had I accompanied the MK chairman down to Brisbane a couple of years ago to discuss sister city relations with Brisbane. And negotiations is still on, but the thing was that what do you have that all need him? So that then they can assure that whenever they come to Mosby, there's something there for them. So it has to be done on mutual benefits. Same for provinces. So while I was encouraging that, I thought the onus would be on the governors and their PAs and the town administrators to see what they have. And for Medang, you know, it's the gateway to the Ramonicol mine. So then the idea is there already. How to expand on it is another thing. That's my thought on that, Mr. Edgar.
All right, thank you. That's good. I'll try to advise the mayor, Medang's mayor, to really go forward with the arrangement and try to get something tangible out of the whole agreement. Anyway, but that brings us to the end of our time together, and I hope you've learned from what we've shared with you, especially Mr. Ako, his experiences in pictorial form. And I hope it motivates you to, go out there, achieve something, live your dream, and become who you want to become in the future. And learn from our mistakes, our challenges, and be better. Yeah, that's the message we're getting from Mr. Ako. But we'll continue the discussion this Friday on the APEC summit. Mr. Ako is wearing his APEC shirt, so he'll wear that same shirt on Friday, and he'll talk about APEC again, once again, the lessons and experiences from hosting the APEC summit in 2018. So looking forward to that.
This is the only
that is
this is the
what-
only shirt I have, and people are asking about it. So I only wear it for our Zoom in the house. I don't wear it to work too because Manok will ask him and lose him. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
So
Friday.
good, you'll wear that again. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our Q&A session. So thank you, everyone, those attending via Zoom and those watching on Facebook, and those of you who will be watching on YouTube. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
And please continue
Yeah, see you
to
on
talk
Friday.
about our foreign policy. Bye for
School
now.
good.
Now.